What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Standing Out, a podcast about sales, marketing, and leadership. I'm Trey Griggs, your host. So glad to have you with us today. And shout out to our friends over at Highway for the great apparel today. Listen, if you're needing help qualifying carriers and making sure you keep the bad actors out of your business, out of your freight brokerage, be sure to check them out at gohighway.com. Couple announcements before we start today's show with our phenomenal guest. Be sure to sign up for the Broker Carrier Summit. It's coming to Kansas City, April 22nd through 24th of this year. Register now at brokercarriersummit.com. You're not going to want to miss it. It's all about conversations and networking and building relationships with carriers and brokers to do business together with legitimate players in the game. So again, make sure you sign up for that. brokercarriersummit.com. It's going to be the best event that you go to in 2024. Also, starting February 1st, we got a little change on the show. We're going to be streaming everything strictly to YouTube. So make sure you check us out over there. Go to YouTube and search for beta_podcast_network. The Beta Podcast Network. Be sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications so you never miss an episode. We're going to be building up our YouTube channel. You can find all of our content over there, including episodes of Word on the Street, The Edge, and Standing Out. All right, we got a great guest on the show today. So excited to have her on the show. She is a founder in the industry with a lot of experience doing something new. So everybody give it up for our good friend, Marina Brown of Moneiva. What's up? How are you doing, Marina?
Hey, I'm like pumped up and ready to go.
Ready to run through a wall. That's right. We're going to have a great time today. So glad that you are on the show today. I got to tell you, my friend, it has been so much fun getting to know you, hearing your story, and what you're building right now, which is very exciting. I love seeing innovation and entrepreneurs taking a risk. So take a moment real quick and tell everybody a little bit about yourself and about what you're building over at Moneiva.
Absolutely. I spent 20 years in corporate America, and it was a great journey. Loved it. Spent a lot of time in electronic payments and banking, and then followed up with some transportation experience. And I've always felt like I need to do something on my own. Like, sometimes when you have that gut feel that there's more to life that you want to achieve. And so last year, about this time, actually, it's been close to a year. People say I got this idea in the shower. Well, I was actually wrapping Christmas presents. And I was like, you know what? This has always been, accessorials in supply chain have always been such a pain. I've experienced it personally. I've always wanted to do something about it. And why not? Did some research in the market, couldn't find really the product that I would have adopted if I was the one driving freight brokerages. And so that's how our journey started. What we ended up doing is helping freight brokers really predict the any additional accessorials that are going to come up on loads, and then enabling them to have a good conversations with their shipper about pricing predictability. And then if it so happens afterwards accessorials still come up, then we give them an opportunity to communicate those quicker, provide visibility to them, to accounts payable and brokers, and then ultimately end up paying those out faster.
That's awesome. We're going to dig into that a little bit more in just a minute. Before we do that, though, we have to ask, first of all, thank you for being on the show. We love to give our guests a little swag item and say thank you. So do you want a coffee mug, a standing out coffee mug, or a standing out water bottle? Which one do you prefer?
I would take the coffee mug. I'm a
coffee mug.
fan of coffee.
Beautiful.
Yes.
How many cups of coffee a day are you plowing through?
Probably like 2 to 3, but they have to happen before 10 o'clock in the morning. Otherwise, I can't sleep. Yeah.
Very good. You know your body regulation. You got it all figured out at that point.
Yeah, getting older is no fun. That's for sure. I used
to
drink coffee all the way through the day, but not anymore.
Wow. Well, that's the life I don't know. I've never had a cup of coffee, so I appreciate
serious?
coffee. Yeah,
How
never.
can you survive? Oh my gosh, how do you survive?
There's a whole story behind it about why I don't drink coffee. It's kind of weird and gross. We won't go into it, but I've never enjoyed it. Like I've sipped it a little bit. I don't like bitter things, but I love the smell of it. I love making it for other people. So coffee is a great thing. It's just not my bag.
Do you drink beer?
I don't. No.
Oh, no. There you go. Another bitter taste. I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Most bitter tastes, wine. I mean, anything bitter, I tend to stay away from. But no hate for the coffee drinkers out there. My wife is a big coffee drinker. My two daughters are becoming big coffee drinkers. So we'll get that coffee mug out to
Yep.
you, and hopefully you can enjoy
Thank
a
you.
few cups of coffee out of that, which would be great. All right, so let's talk a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey. I did not know that you were wrapping gifts last year, and went, man, I need to do this. I think that a lot of people have those kind of experiences, but they tend to be too afraid to try. What was it in this idea that you had, this vision, where you're like, I'm going to go for it? And was there fear? Was there concern? And how'd you push through that?
I would say any entrepreneurial journey is always filled with fear and uncertainty. Like I think the two just come together. And I felt like this was the right time. Sometimes a lot of people don't go into entrepreneurship because of the financial unpredictability, right? Especially if you have family. Like in our scenario, we were a dual income household, right? And we have kids. It's very hard for one of the spouses to just say, you know what, I'm just going to quit my job and go do something that I truly believe in. We were coming off of a situation like that, but things just worked out that I was able to do some consulting on the side while standing up this business. And the two kind of walked hand in hand. I would say that it was scary initially. I didn't know very many entrepreneurs, right? When you're in corporate America, you walk with people in corporate America. And I didn't know that there was a community of entrepreneurs in Omaha that were really close knit. We have in Omaha, and I'm sure other people have it around the country, but we have a organization called 1 Million Cups. And basically what 1 Million Cups does is gathers communities of entrepreneurs every Wednesday at 8:30 in every city around the country. And they hear from an entrepreneur, their story, they learn, they ask questions and all that stuff. But the amount of networking that happens in those places is phenomenal. And so I walked in those doors like super scared, not knowing what the heck I was doing. And these folks really embraced me, started giving me all the feedback and all of the learning opportunities to go from zero to growing your business. Because the skills that you pick up in corporate America are completely different from what you need in order to run your own business. In corporate America, you're supported by armies of other skill sets. And when you're running your own business, you have to be everything, right? From the marketing department, to sales, to product development, to organizing development teams, and running with your legal and pricing and all that stuff. So it was a huge learning curve, but I actually end up making it because of the support of the entrepreneurial community around me.
Yeah, you're never gonna hear hate and disrespect from entrepreneurs. Like they have the most
Yep.
respect for people who are willing to throw their hat in the ring and give it a shot. And
Yep.
it's only the people that are not in the arena that are the ones that are throwing
Yep.
the accusations, the discouragement, all that kind of stuff, heckling you, that kind of stuff. So
100%.
I agree with you. Yeah, it's good to have a group of those people, and that's actually how we met, which was great. We got to meet through Ballast, which is Nate Schute's group of founders, which is
Yes.
a phenomenal organization. It's growing. It's it's probably one of my favorite calls every month, is
Yes.
getting on there and hearing from people like yourself and sharing the struggles that I have, and other people going, yeah, I went through that too. Here's what we did, or here's how I overcame
Yep.
that. You realize you're not
Yes.
alone.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's really important. One of the things that you hear as an entrepreneur is all of the success stories, right? Everybody talks about, the people that made it to $1 million their first year and $100 million in 5 years. What you don't hear very often is the everyday stories of people who work two jobs, work nights and weekends to make it, people who struggle with their sales. And I think that's kind of what you get in these groups, especially in Nate's group, is hearing from real people and real stories, and ultimately realizing that, hey, there's others that are in the same boat like me. And it kind of gives you the motivation to keep going and make a difference.
Yeah, and I encourage people that if they have these visions and ideas like you had, to give it a shot. Maybe start on the side, start as a side hustle, or find a way to make it work. But
Yeah.
it's just so important that our world gets to experience these products, and that entrepreneurs get to experience the journey. And if anybody's out there, especially in the logistics world, that wants to learn more about ballast, just go to logisticsfounders.com. Nate will help you out with that. I'm telling you, it has radically changed my business being a part of that group.
Yep, 100%. It's super supportive, and I
Yep.
love Nate. He's done a really good thing that I think a lot of entrepreneurs in this space really need.
It makes the scary a little less scary
All
to
right.
be around other people. That's for sure. It's still scary, there's still unpredictable, but so is life. So
Yep.
I'm glad that we met through that group, and I'm glad to hear about what you're doing. So let's dig in a little bit about what Moneiva is accomplishing. So you lived in the corporate world for a while, and you experienced the pain of unpredictable accessorial charges. I mean, that's the world that
Yes.
you lived in for a long time. You saw that, you felt the pain of it, and then you just felt, I want to do something about that. So let's talk about how big this problem is. What does this typically look like for a freight broker, for a carrier? Like what is the experience like? And is it just LTL? Is it truckload? Is it all modes? Talk a little
Yeah.
bit more about that.
So the accessorial problem is particularly pervasive in LTL, but it also occurs in full truckload. And I'm sure everybody that's listening to this is going to know what I'm talking about. But you have carrier sales reps whose primary responsibility is to book new freight with their carriers, right? Instead, what they do is spend 20% of their time at a minimum having to deal with payment issues on old loads. Right? And what that looks like is accounts payable calling you today to find out, hey, what's that additional charge for $350 on a load from 10 days ago? Right? Maybe your carrier put into a warehouse. It was supposed to be a quick offloading 1.5 hour process, turns into a 3.5 hour process, or the carrier charges you, right? But as a carrier sales rep, you're handling like hundreds of loads per day, and you probably don't remember exactly what happened. So you're digging through your inbox, you can't find what you're looking for. You're calling the carrier. Carrier's already frustrated because of the situation that occurred. And so it's a no-win for everybody. And while, we're trying to resolve this situation over phone and email, you end up not being able to bill your shipper for the freight that was already delivered. So what Moneiva is trying to do is two things. The first one is, let's give you visibility as a carrier sales rep or as a brokerage altogether. Let's give you visibility in real time into all accessorials that are coming in before the invoicing process actually happens. Then you get a chance to approve those charges, communicate them to your shipper so that you can ensure you can get paid for them. We sync up all of your systems, and then ultimately when you get when the invoice from the carrier comes in with the additional charges, now everybody's on the same page and the invoice gets processed straight through. So that's number one. The next step to visibility is predictability. So not only I give you the charges that are actually happening, but let me help you predict the charges will occur on this load in the conversation that you're having with your shipper before you even take on that load, right? So you call the shipper and you want the load, you're negotiating on the pricing. Now you have the ability to say, hey, this type of facility usually charges lumper fees, or there's additional detention that often occurs here. So let's plan for those before you actually conclude the pricing negotiation so that you never even have to worry about those additional accessorials that will come up afterwards and how to resolve any potential conflicts.
And a lot of is the predictability based upon maybe a location, like at this location, there seems to always be this accessorial. And so trying to collect that historical information to predict, is that what it's based upon?
Yes. Yep. A lot of that, right? Is it a residential location? Is it specific warehouses that may be located in particular parts of city that are harder to access? Or you just have unreliable crews that work at those places. There's so many different situations that you can handle, but a lot of this is using historical data to help you basically predict the future. That's right.
Yeah, and I think about, whenever somebody asks me for something 2 weeks ago, I have a hard time finding it or figuring out exactly what went on or what the problem was. There's a lot of
Okay.
research that's involved, a lot of time that goes into that, and that's me not having 100 loads a day that I'm dealing with.
Right.
So I can imagine how difficult that is in an LTL
Yep.
environment where you have so many shipments going through the system,
Yep.
on a daily and weekly basis. To try to keep up with the details of that has to be incredibly
Right.
difficult. So that's
Yep.
exciting to hear about that. What's been the reception so far in the marketplace in terms of talking about it? Because as a founder, you're, like you said earlier, you're the sales and marketing team. So you're out there talking to potential customers. What's the reception been like so far?
Yeah, I think like what we're seeing is that every place where we uh, go, or every broker that we go and talk to, basically pitches us back our sales deck. Because you start talking about the problem, and there's not a single person that will tell you, I don't have any problems with accessorials, you know? And so it's a conversation about, how big is the problem? And oftentimes I'll tell you, sometimes people don't actually realize the amount of time that their brokers spend on dealing with these issues. I sometimes compare it to the old days of track and trace. Do you remember when, we had teams of people that basically that all they did was call carriers on where are you, how soon you're going to arrive at the destination, and so on. That was their job. And today, this is all automated. Well, the same thing is happening with payments and accessorials. So that quickly translates for folks. And the fact that we can now eliminate a lot of these calls and conversations, similar to how we eliminated the tracking conversations, is fairly receptive.
Yeah, you wonder where the time goes or where time is being lost, and if you don't really understand it, this is one of those buckets that could be a big cause for that.
Yeah.
So it's a great problem to address, and it's great to hear that the reception's been good. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about leadership in just a moment. But we got to take a break to pay the bills. I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, SPI Logistics. Listen, if you're a freight broker out there and you're just tired of kind of having your own MC and all the back office support, or if you're a freight agent not quite happy with your home, be sure to check them out at success.spi3pl.com. They've got the technology, systems, back office support to help you succeed. Click on the link that's going to be in the show notes and in the comments. That'll take you directly to a landing page where you can fill out a form and learn more. Again, success.spi3pl.com. Again, if you're a freight broker, just tired of that back office stuff, you just want to stay in your lane, they're going to help you out. Thanks again to our friends over at SPI Logistics. All right, we're going to resume our conversation. And Marina, I got to ask you about this because we talked about the fact that you are the sales and marketing department. What are you doing to stand out? How are you getting the word out? How are you marketing yourself in a way that really helps you stand out?
Yeah, great question. A lot of social media. So I will be super frank. I've never been big in social media. Because like to me, I've always been a doer, right? You get things done, and when you get things done, people recognize that. You don't really have to go out there and shout from the rooftops about what you've achieved or what you plan on achieving. But this is a different ball game. Like here, people don't know you, and people don't know what you're doing, what you want to do, and who you are. And so, a lot of social media posts, learning materials, any information I can share from conversations that I potentially may have um, with potential customers about the state of the industry, and sharing that with the community, and ultimately spreading the word out, making a lot new friends, right? Like whether it's through the Nate's Balance group or just purely through trade shows and even on LinkedIn. That's been a great opportunity. I used to be very shy in my previous life, and I've learned to make friends really quickly. Um,
Yeah, it's hard to be shy as a founder. You don't get
yes,
very far if you're pretty shy. It's a little more
yes.
difficult. Some have pulled it off, but it's pretty difficult. That's for sure.
Yeah. I 100% agree. You have to have like a really good co-founder who is more on the salesy type, and we don't. We're a technical crew, so
Yeah, yeah. And one of the big things about social media too, I mean, it's powerful, it's free, it's so easy to use in that regard. But content, some people engage with some content more than others. We've got the meme world out there. We've got, gifs running all over the place and fun content. We have educational content. What
yeah.
has been gained the biggest traction for you when it comes to
And
social media? Are you in the meme game? Are you doing silly stuff? Are you trying to do more educational content? What's been your, modus operandi so far?
I would say so. ChatGPT kind of changed the social media game a little bit, especially as it comes to like LinkedIn and other types of communication like that. There is so much computer content out there that's
Yeah,
really boring
unfortunately.
to
Yeah.
it's really boring to read, right? And you can kind of quickly start realizing what's been written by ChatGPT versus what's really a human story. To me, what's worked the most is just telling personal stories of, and not personal, but professionally related stories that maybe I just had a conversation with a carrier and they expressed certain pain points, and we debated about what solutions for predicting accessorials would look like. And so turning around and sharing those stories with the larger community, I would say that this has probably gotten the biggest traction for me.
Yeah, that's really good. Talking about people is always valuable. Telling stories is so critical to do that. And I'm with you. I think people are using AI the wrong way. It's very
Right.
powerful, but I think that AI should be used to help with ideation or help with maybe like some creativity, but not to
Yeah.
write it. You have to put
Right.
in those personal touches. It has to be your voice. People recognize that. People just
Yep.
recognize that. I've had people. I've got our communications director sometimes posts on my social media account, and people oftentimes know when it's not me, even though
Yeah.
that's really good content written, it's just not written in my voice. And so,
Yep.
AI has even more trouble with that right now. Maybe it'll get better down the road. I don't think it's there yet. It's
I
not quite.
hope so. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it has some ways to go, and I'm not sure that we really wanted it to speak for ourselves, right? I think having your own unique voice is what people want to hear, and per my experience, that's the stories that people read from the ones that I post. So
Yeah. And, the more computer content that's out there, the more that my content personally written by myself will stand out. So
right,
I'm not too down on
keep
people doing
writing.
that, but exactly, it might help me out actually, the more people that do that. So, but it's important to think through your marketing strategy and what that looks like, how you're going to stand out, how you're going to, draw attention, get some traction, get people to, better understand what you do, the problem that you solve. So I think you're on the right track. I think that's really exciting. Let's switch gears for a minute and talk about leadership. When you go from corporate America, you could have a leadership position within corporate America, but when you become an entrepreneur, you're the leader. It's all on you. How has your leadership style changed going from corporate America to now being an entrepreneur?
Yeah, great question. Actually, I have always been known for being a very decisive leader, right? You go out there and you use the data to make decisions. You lead with integrity, right? If your teams are on a call resolving a problem at 12 o'clock at night, you're with them, helping resolve the problem. Very people oriented leader, right? And I've led pretty large teams in my past. Um, Being an entrepreneur, obviously you are a 2 3 people team. You don't know all the answers. There's a lot of uncertainty about how you're going to find your product market fit. Is what you're building and what you're selling truly resonating with people? And if your first few customers are not necessarily friends and family but close network partners, will the people that are 1 or 2 steps removed from that network going to take your product, right? It's a constant exploration, and you just don't know the answers always. And that's been kind of a challenge, right? Going from a certainty and I always know what to do in most situations to sometimes you're like, I'm not quite sure what the right path here is. But I think the persistence is the thing that really kind of separates entrepreneurs that ultimately end up being successful versus those that drop out. Is you might not know the answers, but you have to persist and you have to keep moving forward. I always say, like, your next journey is just one step away, right? And every day you wake up, you take that one step. And as long as you're moving forward, as long as you're talking to people, talking to customers or your potential customers, and as long as you're focused on trying to resolve real issues in the industry, you are going to succeed.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the entrepreneurship game is all about longevity, just sticking it out. The ones that end up winning are the ones that just don't quit. And the word picture that came to mind as you were talking just now is, the difference between leading in corporate America and leading as an entrepreneur is corporate America is like if you were in the military as a leader and you were on a base where there's consistency, there's systems, there's structure, there's
Yes.
predictability and consistency in that regard, as opposed to leading in a war where it's completely unpredictable and you're having to learn on the fly and make adjustments and figure things out and change strategies. Like to me, that's the difference. You go from being in a pretty steady, stable environment in corporate America to the wild, wild west, trying to figure it
Right.
out. And that's a totally different environment to try to navigate. And again, I
Yes.
think the key is just keep walking, keep taking the
Yes.
next step. Don't quit. That's what the
Yeah.
entrepreneurship game is really all about, longevity.
Yes. And the other thing is, in corporate America, people report to you, right? Whether they like it or not. There's usually a culture of, leadership
Kind of a
that's being
hierarchy.
supported, of
Yeah.
hierarchy. Yes. And in our situation, you have to really sell the vision and truly help people believe that what you're building is going to make a difference in that industry. So it's a lot more convincing and motivating people than just what exists, the hierarchy that exists in corporate America.
Yeah, I just heard that today that the number one job of an entrepreneur is casting vision and recasting vision and recasting vision and reminding people of the vision and keeping that front and center, because when you're the leader out front, you have a view of things that the people that are maybe behind you don't get to see. And I thought that was a good
Yep.
word picture as well, to think about
Yes.
the responsibility of leadership, to remind people what we're trying to build here, what we're working towards, what difference we're going to make. And that's, it's ultimately selling. I mean, that's what you're doing. You're convincing people to
Yes.
come along on this crazy journey to make a difference. So
Yep.
it's a lot of fun.
Like chief motivator, right? Chief
Chief
motivation
everything.
executive. Yeah.
I know. That's actually why I changed my title. So, when you start a company, you're like the founder and the CEO and whatever. I changed it to Chief Encouragement Officer because I really feel like that's a big part of my job, is to encourage
Yes.
everybody else and to keep going and be more
Yeah.
like a coach in that regard. So lots of great stuff. That's great to share that, Marina, and your journey. We got to take a break and have a little fun on the show. Listen, that's a lot of serious stuff, a lot of good content you just showed there, but we got to have a little fun. All right. So we're going to play a game, and this game is called What Song? Marina. So here's what's going to happen. Our producer is going to put a banner up on the screen with a set of emojis. All right. And you and I have to work together to try to figure out what song is being represented by
gosh.
those emojis. And hint, these are some of the greatest love songs of all time. Don't know why that category came up today, but that's what we're rolling with today. It's the greatest love songs of all time. So let's go ahead and roll it. Here's the first one. What do we got here? We got a person walking, thumbs up to you.
Walking up to
step.
you.
Good.
Walking.
Thumb is good. Pointing at you. Okay, this is going to be our test round. Okay, this is our test round. Let's just kind of see where we're headed with that.
Did I mention that English is not my first language? So.
We're throwing all the excuses out right now. Okay, well, let's
Yes.
answer that first one. Let's see what that was. Someone like
Someone
you.
like
Okay.
you. Okay.
Kind of. Okay. All right. I could see the you, but the someone like you, that's difficult. Okay. All right. Love songs. Here we go. So someone with a hand up and
raise me
and
up.
Ooh, you lift me up? No.
Oh.
No, that's not it.
Lifting.
My girl.
My girl. Oh my
gosh.
gosh. Okay.
We
right.
stink at this, Marina. This is not good. This is not going well. All right, we have to cut this out. All right, here we go.
It's gonna have to
The
give us
next
something
one.
easy.
There's an eyeball, infinity, love. I will always love you. Let's
Oh,
go.
okay.
I will always
All
love you.
right.
Come on. We're on the
Hey,
board, Marina.
that's one of my favorite songs, dude.
That's a great song too. All right, we're on the board. We're on the board. Okay, here we go. Okay. This
You?
is you and then you music's.
What is
Your
that?
song.
Oh,
Your song. Billy Joel, your
your
song.
lyrics?
Yes.
Oh, your song.
Let's
Okay.
go.
All right.
Is that Billy Joel? I think it's Billy Joel.
I'm
No,
glad
is it
you're on my
Billy?
team, Trey.
I don't know who that is. All right. Anyways, we got that one. Okay. And then this is a
Hello?
hand. Hello. Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Yes.
Hey, I
Is
got
it me
one.
you're
I
yes. Nice work, Marina. Nice work. All right. So we've gotten I think the last 3 or 4. I'm not even keeping track, but we're doing good. All right. This is the final round. Last one. Here we go. Last one. Let's try to get this one.
Boy loves girl. Man loves
woman. When a man loves a woman. When a man loves a woman. Let's
go.
go.
There you go.
Let's go. Listen, Marina, we started off slow, but we came on strong there at the end. I'm not gonna lie. That worked out pretty well. Okay. We also like to
probably going easy on us, but that's good.
Well, those were tough. Some of the first ones were tough, if you didn't recognize those were a little tough, but we got quite a few. I think we may have laid down 4 or 5 there. So it's pretty good there. All right. We also like to do a random question of the day, just have a little bit of fun as well. So today's random question of the day is, what is the wackiest thing you ever did to help a friend? Oh, to help a friend.
Man.
Can you think of something crazy you've done to help a friend?
Get in a car accident.
You got into a car accident to help a friend?
Yes. Well, I got a call from a friend one night that she was in a
they were in a car accident. I thought
I got in a car accident.
Oh, you did?
Trying to help a friend. So I got a call one night from a friend who was in a little bit of a unpleasant / scary situation. And I quickly got in the car. Once you know it, there was black ice on one of the intersections. Yeah. And before you know it, I was staring at the light pole in the middle of my car.
Man. So, oh no, that is a crazy outcome to help a friend. That's true.
I don't know if that's wackiest, but it is, given the fact that there's so much snow outside right now, that's probably the first thing that comes to mind.
First thing that came to mind, yeah. Wackiest, I don't know about wackiest or craziest, but I did drive cross country to help a friend who bought a new car in a different city. Like he went and bought the car, and then I flew down and met him, and we drove across the country to get it back to his house. Then I flew home. And it was pretty fun. Like it was a good journey, a little road trip, but it's not too often you get a call from a friend that says, "Hey, can you fly to here and drive with me home? Because I don't want to drive by myself all the way home." So that was kind of crazy, but it was a lot of fun.
You're lucky to have friends like that, though. I feel like
pretty adventurous.
Yeah.
Could be worse.
The fact that someone calls you means they trust you, right?
They could be asking me to come over and help them birth a cow or something. I mean, that would be pretty crazy. So I'm going to take the car trip across the country as not being too bad. So that's a pretty good random question of the day. That was definitely random. All right. So Marissa, let's talk about what's next for Marina. Sorry, I said Marissa. Oh my gosh. Marina, what is next for Moneiva? What's on the horizon? What are you guys working on?
Yeah, we so as I mentioned earlier, our primary focus right now is to provide visibility into accessorials real time. And now we're starting to get a lot more into the data science, AI, and predictability development, which is actually I used to background here. After I graduated from college, I went to USC for a bit to study artificial intelligence, and so that was a long time ago. I'm not going to date myself, but when that long time ago, AI really was more around, hey, let's get you from point A to point B in the fastest manner. Right now, we're light years away from that, but I really kind of enjoyed the experience and stuck with me. Ended up leading the data science teams in some of my corporate career. So ultimately, that's the thing that excites me a lot about our technology is the artificial intelligence ingredient that we are adding. And I know AI is such a buzzword today, but I've seen AI work in transportation quite well, and that's kind of the element that we want to bring to brokers is helping you with true data science and true artificial intelligence to get to a better cash maintenance, to get to a more load life cycle financial predictability. I think that will have real impact on these businesses.
Love that. Absolutely. As well. I'm excited to see how this all develops, how AI plays a role. I'm excited for AI. I think it's still very immature. It's still new. You got the largest companies in the world still trying to figure it out. So, hopefully it evolves pretty quickly and actually produces a lot of positive results. So we'll have to see how all of that works out. Marina, what's the easiest way that somebody can reach out to you if they want to learn more about you or about Moneiva?
Yeah, absolutely. My LinkedIn profile is probably the quickest way to connect. And I don't know if you make that available in the show notes, but look for Marina Brown, Omaha, Moneiva. I'm the only one around here, so definitely will be able to find me. Otherwise, go to Moneiva, MONEIVA.com, and we can connect there as well.
That's awesome. Well, Marina, it's so great to have you on the show. Thank you for stopping by. We'll have to have you back on to hear how it's going, down the road, maybe another year from now, how far you've made it in that regard. But thanks so much for stopping by today.
Absolutely, Trey. This was exciting. Thanks for having me on board.
Of course. And everybody, make sure you come back every Tuesday for a new episode of Standing Out. And again, thank you to our friends over at SPI Logistics for sponsoring the show and our friends at Highway for the great apparel. Again, be sure to catch every episode on YouTube. Check out our YouTube channel, Beta Podcast Network, Beta_Podcast_Network. Be sure to subscribe. Our next show is Word on the Street every Friday. Make sure you check that out at noon Central, and make sure you come back every Tuesday for an episode of Standing Out. Thanks again for watching. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you real soon. Take care.